welcome to Voices of the West from Dusty Saddle Publishing. Today we have the honor of talking to Alfred Wallner. He was one of the most prolific Western writers in Germany, as it goes that way. Alfred, thank you for joining us this morning.
The honor is on my side, Ken. I feel very happy to be with you.
Our pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I guess I'm a Western junkie. I'm addicted to that kind of genre since I was a little boy. My dad was responsible for that. He read those old dime novels, and he always said to me, "You better read good books and not these novels." So I waited until he got to work, and then I grabbed these novels and read it. So it began.
Always a good thing. Sneak behind Dad for that. What is it that inspires you about Westerns?
Well, it's just a classic storyline. If you compare those old Greek novels with the Fight of Troya, we have a German Western author who said, well, what is the difference between those old heroic novels and Western novels? And he said only what they wear and the weapons, but the storyline is still the same.
Very much so of that, yes. I've heard that once before. It goes with the entire, dealing with the path of the hero type of stories and that type of a thing. Yes. Going into all of it. That's very much alive in the West.
Yeah. And I grew up with that kind of books, and I saw many Western series on German TV. I had them all. I had Bonanza, I had Gunsmoke, I had High Chaparral. I know everything.
Excellent. So what do you think makes a great Western?
Well, I think it's a good character whom you like and whom you would follow in his book. And this character must act before a good and solid historical background, I think.
Absolutely. When you're writing, do you come up with a character first, or do you come up with a plot that you want to try and get to?
Well, I've read nonfiction books more than 40 years, so I know a bit what I want to write about. At first, I plan my character, and then I think which historical event would be suitable for a novel. And then I create my historical character and let them act together with historical figures. And he describes what happens from his point of view.
Okay, so you pretty much set them up in the historical context of whatever is happening with an event,
always,
and then
always
let them react accordingly to whatever was actually occurring.
Yeah.
Very good. And you have, wow, well over 100 novels out there at this point too.
About 100 Westerns and 100 others, horror, science fiction, fantasy, love and romance, and everything else, but my love is still the Western.
When did you discover that you had a gift for writing?
It was in school, I guess. We had an English teacher who gave us something to read. It was a short novel called Pioneer Days of Kentucky from a guy called James Walker McSpadden. It was a story about Daniel Boone and his life. And our task was to continue that story with our own words. And I wrote 2 hours and couldn't be stopped. I guess that was the beginning.
And been doing it constantly since then.
Yes.
Very good. What do you think that readers are looking for with a Western?
I guess it should be something which they haven't read so far, because I do not want to write the 100 millionth novel about a cowboy who comes into town and starts a fight in the saloon. This is not my business. I guess the readers want to have something which thrills them. So I always say what I write is a movie in my mind, and I want that the readers see the same what I see.
Excellent. Take us through your overall process for writing here. You said that you come up with an idea that you're thinking this would be an interesting, well, actually, you got to go from the whole level of how do you pick your event?
Well, currently I write a series about the Texas Rangers. And my idea was to start from the early years of Texas, when Texas was still a Mexican colony. So my novels circle about the Battle of the Alamo, the fight at San Jacinto, and how the Texas Rangers formed. I have a few books here which document what happened at that time, and from that I pick my stories. So I just have to use the historical background. The story develops very quick in my mind.
Very good. Do you have a certain amount that you write each day, or what's your overall method for when you're actually trying to get a novel written?
Well, the publisher says I need it at that time, so I have to finish it somehow.
That's always good motivation.
But I write each day about 2 or 3 hours, mostly in the afternoon or in the evening hours. And I can write a paperback with about 220, 250 pages in about a month or so.
Very good.
It looks as if I have to do a little bit more in near future, as rumors say.
Oh, DSP isn't that harsh on things. We like to keep things reasonable for word count.
Yes, but I have a lot of old novels, and I have a huge backlist, so I will be glad to give them to you.
This is true, and we'll be delighted to publish them, definitely, on all of that.
Yeah.
What
Well,
do you think?
the first 6 have been published since yesterday, and I'm so nervous. Again, it's very strange to explain, but I still cannot realize what happens now.
Well, going back out there in the market and seeing what happens. So
Yeah.
hopefully we're getting you to an even broader audience and get more people running to you.
Of
How do you
course, yes.
how do you think a Western is best promoted? Since we're reintroducing you out here.
Well, you're doing a lot of more because you're in the States. You know what you're doing. I cannot do everything from Germany. I can, of course, publish a book in English language over here in Germany, but I do not have the contacts. You are the experts, and therefore I rely completely on your expertise.
Hopefully we will be able to exceed your expectations with all of that.
We will see.
What do you think is the most underexposed or undeveloped part of the Old West?
Oh, I guess the frontier history. I wrote also novels about Daniel Boone, about Jedediah Smith. I am also interested in the early history of Canada. No one has written novels about Canadian history. I do not know much about that, but I think this would be very great.
Yes.
I still prefer Civil War novels because I see that now in the US there are not many Civil War novels.
No, there's still a good number coming out, but not the way they used to. No.
Yeah, and, I do always want to write something which I like. It comes just out of my thoughts. I do not plan what I am writing next year, but I'm always try to develop new things.
Do you write with the reader in mind ever, or do you just write your own stories that you want to tell?
I guess I write my own stories I want to tell, but I'm in contact with a few readers, and they acknowledge what I'm doing, and they write me mails and tell me that they like it. So I guess it's good what I'm doing.
Definitely catching on with some people. What kind of Western have you long dreamed of writing about? We hit Canadians there, but anything that you've, in the course of 100 stories, you haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah. Well, of course, there are many historical events. Yes, the history of the Texas Rangers, as far as I know, they will celebrate their 200 years of history this year. Yes. So if I write everything what I want to do, I guess I have to be 120 years old, and it looks as if I won't reach that age.
You never know these days.
Yeah.
How do you feel the Western market is changing?
I'm very happy to see that it's changing for the better now. In USA, I see a great development of such series like 1883 or Yellowstone. And I hopefully will see some development also in the book market. There was a time when nobody wanted to read Westerns, and there were many adult Westerns on the market, which I honestly to say, I do not like them at all. And I prefer only the classic Western, the historical Western. And I see that they are coming back in the USA.
Yes, they've been having an upswing on that, although in our opinion, certainly the amount of space in the bookshelves could be much larger than it is.
Yes. I see some mass market publishers like Kensington, they have William W. Johnstone novels. I guess they are selling quite good.
The majority of them, it seems like. Yeah, you have those, you have old Zane Greys and a few things like that normally.
Yeah. But there is still place for other authors and writers. And I think as far as I have watched what Dusty Saddle Publishing does, I think there will be a good development in near future.
We certainly hope so too. We try to specialize on people binge reading things, having an entire series that they can dig into, or a particular author that they like to. We like having lots and lots of books available to readers to be able to pursue. And you certainly have a lot of those.
I have, yes.
So an excellent candidate for us when it comes to that.
Yeah.
What is the most valuable piece of advice that you've been given for writing?
It's just simple. Don't give up and follow the road which you have chosen. And do believe in your dreams. Sometimes they will become reality. I have waited for such an opportunity more than 30 years. And I just thought it would never happen. Now it happens. And if a writer believes in what he does, the story will be good. He must have patience and must wait. And he must consider the fact when he has written a novel, the word "the end" is not the end of everything. Then the real hard work begins as far as marketing, press relations, social networking, and things like that.
Oh, yes.
They also have to do public readings. I do not know if other authors do that, but I like that.
Well, it's usually a matter of making an arrangement with local booksellers that in regional areas, plus preferably if large hubs that you can come in there and do that with, and that can publicize it locally. But yeah, that's always good things on all of that. Of course, our major emphasis at Dusty Saddle is keep you writing. We like the idea of, going out there and being seen and everything like that is very good, but hopefully we can take care of a lot of the overall marketing approaches and let you do what you do best. Get out there and just keep on writing on things.
I've seen that already and I appreciate that very much.
Well, hopefully be able to keep doing lots with you on that.
Yeah, I will try.
How much research do you do or how much time do you spend researching when you're writing a book?
When I started, I had to do a lot of researches because when I was at the beginning in the 80s, I took about 4 weeks to research. It was a time when we had no internet. I had to order all important books from the USA, and it took normally 2 or 3 months till they arrived over here in Germany. So I keep them as treasures. I still have them, but normally I know now the area, the time period about what I want to write. Then I set my storyline, and after I have set this, I'm looking for historical details. Then I begin.
Very good. And how long did you say it usually takes you to write a book?
About 4 weeks.
About 4
Sometimes
weeks.
a little bit shorter.
Oh, that's
I have done this in all my spare time. I was a full-time salesman. I'm retiring now in July, so I have a little bit more time to write. Maybe that the number of books will increase.
Indeed. Yes, a little extra focus to all of that. We will certainly take advantage of that. We'd be very happy to have more books on the market.
I know.
So you're working on your Texas Ranger series right now. What currently are you writing?
There are already in Germany 9 books on the market, no, 10 books on the market. It's an ongoing series with 4 books each year, 2 in spring and 2 in fall. Now I will concentrate on the books for spring next year because my German publisher wants to have them as soon as possible so that he can plan them. So I have to write 2 additional Texas Ranger novels until end of this year, which is no problem.
Excellent. Are
And
you working with the same basic characters in the Texas Ranger novels, or are you like changing it out over time? Because there's a wide expanse too, even with the Texas
yes,
Rangers.
well, I'm now in the year of 1837 in spring, and I will change a few characters who were more in the back. Now will come forward and continue the series because I have different places where the story takes time. My hero cannot ride to each and every place or town in Texas.
Can't be everywhere at once. That's very true.
Yes, of course. So I will change a few characters.
And if you're in 37, that means you're kind of at the beginning of the actual republic. So the
Yes,
Rangers are going from being a de facto military squad to actually being a, well, a government entity to an
yes,
extent.
yes.
Oh, that should be an interesting transition.
Well, I think this is a very fascinating period of time because no one in Germany wrote so far about these early years. And that was my reason to do it.
Doing something because no one's done it before is always a good reason.
Yes, always develop new horizons, seeing places you have never seen before. That's what keeps me going.
Excellent. So if you were to write a story that you haven't gone to before, what would it be about? What's in the back
Let
of
me
your head
think.
that you've been wanting to
Let
do?
me think. I guess it would be something about the early years, from the time when Tecumseh and his Shawnee warriors, novels about the Great Lakes, things like that.
Absolutely. That
Yeah.
would get interesting.
Yeah.
Because that's, yeah, you get the whole French and Indian Wars and everything else that kicked in
Yeah.
up there.
But also, you know the author John Banteen.
I've heard, yes.
He had a series called Fargo, which took place
Okay,
from
yes.
1899 to 1905. This is an interesting period where nobody wrote many novels. So I'm thinking about this too.
Indeed. The turn of the century there was always,
Yeah.
that's kind of like people don't consider it to be the mainline Western time, so they tend not to go there. When it's the time when the most change actually occurred with the West. So you have a bunch of people that can be displaced and trying to understand how this new world kind of exists around them, and all kinds of things to write about.
It would be interesting if a character from the old times faces the new times and has to learn new things. That society is changing, big cities are changing. I would consider this as thrilling.
Horses have to get off the road for the automobile for coming up behind them.
Yeah, and phones.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
They had first phone was actually functioning by 1880 in Texas, I believe.
Yeah.
So
and also the story could take place in Mexico. There were certain revolutions over there, Pancho Villa, things like that. So there is enough space to write.
Plenty of breadth to everything. Definitely.
Yeah.
So if people want to learn more about you, Alfred, where can they find you?
I'm living in Augsburg, Germany, which is in the southern state of Germany near Munich. The Austrian border is about 120 kilometers away, so I can reach the mountains and beautiful area very soon. I grew up in a very small village of about 1,000 people. I moved to Augsburg in 2014, so I'm not long here. I always lived at my parents' house at the same place, never left that village until there were reasons I moved to Augsburg, and people can find me over here. I have a lot of contacts to American writers, also from DSP, and they can find me over here, and I hope I see them someday. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And where can we buy your books at?
On
DSP,
Amazon,
obviously.
Yeah, of course, on Amazon worldwide in English language. And most of my books are available as ebooks, the German books also on Amazon, and the print edition directly by the German publisher.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, Alfred, I appreciate you taking time today to be interviewed. It was a pleasure to speak with you.
It was a pleasure for me, and thank you for this opportunity from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, we're very glad to have you aboard with us.
Yeah, I feel at home.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you very much.